Welcome to Save Your Sanity, help for handling hijackals, those difficult, toxic, and often disturbing people in your life. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler, the Relationship Help Doctor, and I'm here for you. You'll get the insights, skills, strategies, and support to stop tolerating verbal and emotional abuse, whether it's happening now or it happened to you in the past, maybe by a parent, partner, ex, relative, or even a coworker. Time to take life back, to recover and to rediscover you, your values, dreams, desires, and realize them in healthy ways in healthy relationships. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Save Your Sanity. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. So glad you're here as usual. If this is your first time being with us, I'm glad you found me. And if you have been returning, I'm glad you find value here. That's what gets me up in the morning, floats my boat, and flips my skirt. And I want to keep bringing you high value. Know, too, that you can go on to my Facebook page, Relationship Help Doctor, and you can give me suggestions for things that you'd like to have on this show. Or you can go to the page Relationship Help Shows, and that will also help you give me topics you might like to hear me discuss. Or you can send me a question. And so many ways for you to have exactly what you need from these shows. There are other ways to interact with me too, of course, private counseling, which you can get at my website, for relationship help, HELP.com. And always remember that your first consultation is a full hour for only $97, and you'll find that at forrelationshiphelp.com/join. So today we're going to talk about something that a little bit delicate. You know, you don't like to think that you might be lying to yourself, but, you know, with all my Facebook groups and my membership program and doing this for so long, one of the things that I hear all the time is, why couldn't I see it? Why didn't I see it? Why did it go on so long? Why did I use my time? Some people say they wasted their time. I'm not entirely sure that that's correct. In a relationship with a hijackal, a relentlessly difficult person of any kind, of any stripe, because you might have that feeling like, why couldn't I see it? And you keep being very, very hopeful that that person will change, that there's some magic that you can do, that you can be more compassionate, more kind, more patient, less demanding, more encouraging. You know, all of those things. You're quite willing to make yourself into a pretzel. Even worse, you might lie down and make yourself into a doormat when you get totally worn down and torn down. And so you keep hoping that that person will change. Does that relate to you at all? Have you had that feeling? Well, then you're really going to enjoy just listening to these things, and probably I shouldn't use the word enjoy, right? Because it's never nice to realize what's actually gone on in these situations. But in order to move away from them, sometimes you need more and more information. So I'm going to try to help you with that today. In fact, I'm not going to try and help you. I will help you. So today we're talking about stop lying to yourself now. Some people will never change. Okay, got your attention. So let's talk. This is so much crazy making. Because everybody has bad days. Everybody goes through rough patches. You've been there yourself. I've been there. You know, you just say something offhand, or you're feeling off the mark, and you do or say something that's not like you. We all have those moments. Someone you care about is overwhelmed or stressed to the point of snippiness and name-calling. Or worse, they're worn down to a complete meltdown. It's surprising, yes, it's annoying, it catches you off guard, but you understand. You have compassion. You make an exception. You know that it's just temporary. It doesn't usually happen. So you know that things will change. They'll be okay. And these things fall into the category I call, quote unquote, momentarily difficult. Momentarily difficult. But then there are these other people, the ones I call hijackals, that fall into the relentlessly difficult category. You can count on them to be difficult. They are usually difficult, except when they really want something from you. And these are the people who suck you in, and then they spit you out twice as fast. And you might recognize them because they kind of behave from a motto of, come closer, go away. Come closer, go away. Right? Very, very, very confusing. And it could be that it was an impossible to please parent. I didn't have one that was impossible to please. I had the typical hijackal mother who you could please if you made her look good. If I was winning a singing competition or a piano competition or a school award, oh yes, I could please her, momentarily albeit, but I could please her. But whether I felt something, I thought something, I wanted something, I needed something, oh no, we weren't going to go there. Because always remember, when you're with a hijackal, and particularly if it happened to you when you were a child, you only are validated by a hijackal when you make them look good. They won't value you or validate you for your thoughts or feelings or needs or wants. And that's very sad. And that same thing will happen if you have a hijackal partner. So this is important to know. And this term hijackals, I'll talk about it in a little while. For those of you who are new, I'll explain it a bit. And for those of you who have been around, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you had this impossible to please parent, that family member who ruins everything could be a hijackal. Or maybe a coworker. A coworker who makes you want to pull the covers over your head and miss a day's pay. Have you ever been in that situation? You know, I've written a lot of books, and many of them are about escaping the hijackal trap or passive-aggressive. I wrote a book called Stop, That's Crazy, Making How to Quit Playing the Passive-Aggressive Game. But you might not know that I wrote a book about how to manage workplace relationships. And it's called Wrestling Rhinos, Conquering Conflict in the Wilds of Work. And it's available on Amazon with my other books. So if you have a coworker who sets your teeth on edge and makes you want to pull the covers over your head and stay home, even if it costs you a day's salary, that's another hijackal situation. So what if it's your partner? He or she started out so sweet, so interested in you, so interesting and so willing to share and so understanding. It was almost like they got under your skin and knew who you were. They knew you so well they could anticipate your needs. And that he or she did everything to please you and showed thoughtfulness in all the little ways that count. And you really felt seen and heard and known and appreciated and accepted. You know, those things I talk about in the book, Kaizen for Couples. We all want to feel seen, heard, known, accepted, acknowledged, and appreciated. And when we meet somebody, a hijackal, who is out to get us, quote unquote, get us, they want us for their supply, they match what they think we want and need so they can quote-unquote, get us faster. So it seems like a match made in heaven. And when you meet that person and they behave that way, you're on cloud nine. Like, oh my, finally, the perfect person. Person who sees me and knows me and wants me in spite of my flaws and thinks I'm beautiful or wonderful or handsome or amazing and tells me so. And behaves that way. Except there were these dark clouds. At first they would just appear every now and again, a little bit fleeting, and then they slowly moved in to stay. Your partner made promises and then forgot. And at first you may have got an apology because they were still trying to keep their mask on. Hijackals are chameleons, so they'll put on any mask they need to get you. So maybe they moved in slowly and you got an apology, perhaps. But you always remember that the only way an apology makes any difference is if you see a change in behavior following it. Always remember that. Apologies don't mean anything unless the behavior changes following the apology. So you may have got that apology, as I said, and after a while it kind of disintegrated or turned or twisted into, you should never have asked me to do that for you. It's your fault. Whoa! Okay, big red flag. Hijackal in the building. Now what they said that they would do, what they promised to do, has morphed into being your fault that they didn't do it. Now that's totally crazy making. So in the beginning, you wanted so much to believe the excuses. You wanted them to make sense. You wrote it off perhaps as they're just having a bad day, or they're under pressure, or they're going through a rough patch, or whatever you do. But soon it became apparent that this was going to be another rough patch, another bad day, another bad year, and on it grew. So let's talk about a few red flags you might have missed. I've got 7 of them for you today. Here's some red flags that you really need to look for. And if you're having a bad time right now in your relationship with a parent or an ex or a partner or a coworker, a sibling, ask yourself, are these things actually happening in the relationship? Number 1, nothing you do pleases them. They may be momentarily pleased, but they're not pleased with you overall. They are sitting in judgment. So nothing you do pleases them for many seconds. Number 2, you simply can't do enough for them. Every time you do something for them, they want more. Does that ring a bell? That's kind of in the category of you'll never do enough or be good enough. And they keep you on that string. Number 3, they changed their minds on a dime. So they're going down a street that you two thought you'd agreed on. All of a sudden they're in the next block saying, I never agreed to be on the street you're on. In fact, you're crazy. What made you think I ever agreed to that? Familiar? One of the biggest things that I hear from people in my membership program, if you're interested in that, you'll find it at optimizecircles.com. But they talk about the fact that this twisting of things, constantly twisting things that you think you agreed to, and all of a sudden they tell you it was the opposite or 40 degrees off or something. Crazy making. So you have to watch for that one. Number 4, they constantly blame you for everything. Everything's your fault. The weather, the IRS, no matter what it is, it's your fault. And that's because they're very fragile creatures, much as you wouldn't think they are. And they have to have someone to blame for anything that goes wrong because they couldn't possibly entertain the idea that it was them. And I've talked about that in some other podcasts, so go and look at other episodes if you want to learn more about that. And you can find my podcast wherever you enjoy getting your podcasts. So number 5, according to them, nothing is ever their fault. Right? Big because they're just simply unable to admit that they could have possibly made an error. Now that again speaks to their fragility, and you may not ever see that fragility clearly, but that's what's going on. They can't entertain for the moment that they ever had a problem or made a mistake. They are neither responsible nor accountable, and they will not be held to being accountable or responsible either. Number 6, they always keep you uncertain, never sure of anything. So you think you've got a date nailed down. You think you've got the details of something nailed down. You think you've talked it to death and come to an agreement. And then they do it differently or say, you never told me that. Or I never agreed to that. Or that was maybe one option, but we never finished that conversation. They like to keep you uncertain. They love ambiguity. They love that chaos and that control over you. They like to mess with your mind. And the last one for today, they're quick to tell you that everything they think, feel, or do is justified. And of course, the other side of that is nothing that you think, feel, or do is. They're always perfect. You are always a hot mess. And that's the way they need it to be. That's the way they continue to live in their heads. So erosion begins. They'll keep it up until you're worn down and torn down and worn out, and it never ends. They will continue to try and flatten you and push you and squish you. It is an incredibly erosive process until there's nothing left of you and you start believing what they tell you about you. But, you being a good person, at first you're hopeful. You think, oh, she or he just needs more love, more understanding, more compassion, more patience, as I said, and you knock yourself out to please them. And you do maybe everything to sidestep possible eruptions. I mean, you're good at walking on eggshells, right? So you do everything to sidestep these possible eruptions and keep the peace. And soon you've turned yourself into a pretzel and nothing improves. They get more demanding. They get more critical, more judgmental. And they're quite happy to put you down even more. So I coined this term hijackals for these relentlessly difficult people because they hijack relationships, and always for their own purposes, always to get something for themselves. And then they scavenge those relationships relentlessly for power, for status, for control. Hijackals constantly make you second guess yourself, and they really cause you to question your sanity, right? Their behavior is crazy making. I mentioned my mom was a hijackal. She would smile and laugh in a very empty kind of way, convincing her customers that she looked forward to seeing them. She worked as a postal clerk in a store. Endlessly manipulative, she was at her best at work. But even there, her coworkers came to know that she was not this smiling, laughing person who was happy to see anybody. And they avoided her. They knew she could turn on a dime. They knew that she could cut them off at the knees with a word or a look. I used to have friends who wouldn't come to my house because of my mother. At home, she was the worst. Nothing was ever good enough for her. And even as an adult, it continued. If I was focused on my children, she wanted to know why wasn't I making my mark in the world through my career. And when I was at the top of my game in my career, she questioned, why did you bother having children if your career's so important? No question, she could keep me second-guessing myself till I figured it out, right? Have you got a parent like that? Or a partner like that? They're not going to give you credit for what you are doing. They're going to make you wrong for what you're not doing. And it'll be 180 degrees difference. Crazy making behavior. Hijackals can dismantle your self-esteem, and they can shatter your world if you hang out with them too long. They do it slowly, adding insult to injury over time. And just when they've stolen your heart and garnered your trust, they whip the rug out and send you tumbling. They love to suck you in like that so they can make you fall further. You think it must be your fault that things aren't working out well. Oh, again, if only I were kinder, more patient, more understanding, things would be different. Wrong. That's where the downward spiral starts. You're then taking responsibility for their unreasonable behavior. Don't be doing that. This is where the real danger of shattering your world begins. So you must learn to recognize the truth of what is going on for your own sanity. That's why I do this show. I want you to have as much information as possible. And when you're ready to come into a group safely off any social media, it's on my website. Very low cost, $5 for the first month at any level. You can talk with me, be part of our discussions, our webinars, our Ask Me Anything calls. And you'll find that at optimizecircles.com. So that you can see that truth of what is really going on, because sometimes you need a little convincing. You're hooked on hope that that person you first met that was so perfect is coming back sometime soon. And they're not coming back, except when they really want something in a hot second. So when you actually see the patterns, really step out of the relationship and see those patterns, then you can change your approach. And dealing with chronically difficult people in healthy ways requires that you have boundaries and be strategic. Now, there's lots of episodes on boundaries, and on my YouTube channel called For Relationship Help, youtube.com/forrelationshiphelp, FOR, relationship, HELP, just like my website. I have many videos on boundaries, so if you need stepping up there, it's all there for you. Because if you don't have these boundaries, they're going to wear you down and tear you down and somehow make you feel like the most confused, unreliable, thoughtless person on the planet. Oh, I just heard you go, oh, yeah, that's what happens. And that's what they want. You are not, got this? You are not responsible for making them happy. You're not responsible for meeting their demands. And you are not responsible for living up to their expectations. So if you think you might be caught in the hijackal trap, as I call it, you need to escape. Go to Amazon, get my book, Escaping the Hijackal Trap. That'll tell you a lot more. Don't let a chronically difficult person destroy your sense of yourself and shatter your world. Because nothing delights them more than to have that power, status, and control over you, and have it be that you are losing your sense of yourself, you're losing your boundaries, you're losing your energy, and your world is in danger of being shattered. If this sounds familiar, know that you're not alone. I've lived through it. I've worked through it. Why I do the work is because other people couldn't help me. Oftentimes, I have a doctorate in psychology, but oftentimes when I go to somebody when I was much younger and say, this is what's happening to me, they would say, oh, you just need to be a better person. Because they didn't understand. They didn't have the experience. They didn't know what I was talking about. So they did what they knew to do. Try and change me into somebody who would please the hijackal. No, you may have had that experience. And I have clients who have been to 5 or 6 or 7 even therapists before they come to me, and they say, no, it was always made to be my fault. That's terrible. It isn't your fault, and I hope that you know that. I hope you can get that, take it in right down to your toes, and know that there are just so many things that you can do, especially if you recognize these 7 things that I mentioned today, that nothing that you do pleases them. You can't do enough for them. They change their minds on a dime. They constantly blame you for everything. Everything is your fault, never theirs. They always love to keep you in chaos and uncertainty, and they're quick to tell you that everything they think, feel, or do is justified. If this is ringing true for you, let's talk. Go to forrelationshiphelp.com. If you're ready to do the 1-hour session for $97 only, go to forrelationshiphelp.com/join and get on my calendar really soon. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to help you, and I can help you. Whether you're at the stage of recovering from that, or you're at the beginning stage of just realizing that you had a parent or you have a partner who fits these descriptions, we need to talk. And I hope that we will soon. Again, find me at forrelationshiphelp.com. Come along on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time to youtube.com/forrelationshiphelp and take part in my live stream. You can ask your questions, you can chat, you can do all of that every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get a reminder an hour before on every Monday night. So I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. I'm thrilled that you were here. I am always glad if you tell people that they could find value too, so we can help more and more people feel less and less isolated. I hope that you'll be back soon and that you'll listen to past broadcasts. Take good care and remember, you matter. Behave that way. Talk soon. I'm so glad you spent this time with me today. I hope you heard something that touched your heart and empowered you to move forward. You can have the life and relationships that you most want, and that begins with you, within you, today. I'm always here for you. Life can get better, and you heard that from me, the Relationship Help Doctor. I'm Rhoberta Shaler, and I work with clients throughout the world through video conferencing. We can talk. So learn more at forrelationshiphelp.com, forrelationshiphelp.com, or visit me on YouTube at For Relationship Help. Join me for next week's show.